Thanks everyone for being here today. It's wonderful to speak to you all. My name's John Moore and I lead the Financial Services Business Unit at Salesforce here in ANZ, and I really can't imagine a more exciting time to be working in the world of financial services, nor a more challenging time. And so today we really want to tackle some of those challenges and opportunities head on in our presentation, our keynote for financial services, talk about some of the issues that I'm sure all of you here are grappling with in your own organizations, in your own roles, and see whether we might just shed a little bit of light and some insight into how you can seek to address those challenges and opportunities. And a few elements of housekeeping just before we start. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Also, too, it's important that we remember that whilst we will talk a little bit about our product roadmap and some of the future capabilities we plan to bring to the financial services industry, please make any purchasing decisions relating to Salesforce on the basis of generally available software only. Well, it's important I thank a few people. Firstly, I'd like to thank Accenture for their sponsorship. They're our lead financial services sponsor for World Tour. I'd like to thank them. There are a few Accenture people in the audience. Thank you very much for your ongoing support. You're a wonderful partner of ours in financial services, and we're working together to really drive value for our customers in this industry. And I'd like to say a general thank you as well. So many of our customers are represented here. Thank you for the trust you've placed in Salesforce, the faith you placed in us to care for your customer data, to manage your processes so critical to your business in our platform. And most importantly, perhaps, I'd like to say thank you for what you've taught us, because it has been your contribution to our understanding of the needs of your customers and the needs of your businesses that have guided our path to the right strategy for financial services. And we've been really blessed over the last few years to have had the opportunity to work with some of the most amazing companies in the financial services space around the world. And many of the logos of those companies are represented on the screen. They're large companies and small boutique operations. They're full service banks and institutions that offer all sorts of financial services, right down to niche providers of a single product types. They're from across the world. And this diversity of experience in financial services, the diversity of the conversations that we've had, have really helped us to crystallize in our mind what role we might play in building the financial services firms of the future. And we've learned a lot through these interactions, and many Australian companies have participated in this. So what are the core things we've learned from talking to so many of you over so many years? The central thing we've learned, this is something we heard about today in the keynote, is just like all other industries, financial services is in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution. So this is the revolution of connectivity, building on the incredible exponential growth in computing power that we've seen since the birth of computer systems. The connectivity that has been brought about, the global connectivity, the birth of mobile and the massive growth of the adoption of mobile technology around the world has connected everyone in ways that, frankly, even a decade ago, we couldn't have comprehended. And this is creating a revolution which, like all of the revolutions that precede it, is going to fundamentally transform how we live and how we work. And we're already seeing it in our industry. We're seeing new business models being adopted by insurance companies that are based on the Internet of Things, connected devices, connected assets, connected cars and the like. We're seeing frictionless finance through wearables. We're seeing blockchain revolutionize certification of financial transactions. And all of these technologies are compounding to create new opportunities, new business models, new threats of disruption. What's clear in all of this is that trust is going to play a massive, massive role moving forward. We've just gone through probably what will go down as certainly the toughest 12 months for this industry in Australia in the last 30 years. The Hayne Royal Commission really exposed an expectation gap that had emerged in the market, an expectation gap between what are consumers expecting of the industry and the level of trust that we want to be able to place in the industry and what was delivered against that. And that expectation gap has led to a trust crisis which needs to be addressed. And really big order issues have been raised during this whole process of Hayne, about the capability of the industry. Can you do what I want? Can you be the institution I need you to be? The credibility. Are you going to deliver on the promise that you've made to me? And even the character of the institutions in this industry. Do you care about my interests? Do you have my interests at heart? Are you of good character? These are really large order questions, existential questions really. But at Salesforce, we believe the path back to trust is not going to be through some massive marketing campaign that talks to those higher order issues, but instead it's going to be through micro moments of rebuilding trust. The more times we can promise and deliver, the more times we can give the customer exactly what they need at that moment in their life, purpose-built for their specific financial circumstances and life stage, the more times we deliver on that promise, the more we will rebuild the trust that's been lost in this past 12 months. So it's the micro moments that matter. But they're very, very hard to deliver. It's hard to deliver consistently on micro moments. What's clear to us, though, is that the companies that deliver on these micro moments, the companies that can deliver on trust, that can deliver on convenience and ultra personalization, so that as a customer, I feel like the offer that's being made to me, the next step that's being proposed, the guidance that's being given, the service that's being provided is uniquely targeted at my circumstances and absolutely right for me. The companies that can deliver that will be the successful financial services firms in the future. And so the brands that you see on the slide, are interesting because these are all brands, these are all companies that in a way are playing into this gap. They're playing into the gap that's left by traditional institutions. You have companies like Amazon, not known for being a financial services firm. It's a digital retailer. But they lend billions of dollars in trade finance to their supply partners. Billions of dollars a year. And the reason that they're able to do that is because it's completely convenient. They have massive amounts of data about their suppliers, and they can make offers of trade finance to those suppliers that are absolutely targeted at those supplier specific needs. And taking Amazon up on one of those offers of finance is as simple as a click of a button. So offering that level of intimacy and that level of convenience is giving Amazon effectively a massive role to play in financial services without being a financial services firm. And similarly, companies like WeChat start as a networked messaging firm and is now offering obviously payments. We are all familiar with WeChat as a payments company, but they're offering lending and they're offering insurance, and they're just through that connectivity, convenience and trust are able to offer more and more financial services as part of their overall offering. But it's also happening locally. And there's a logo on that slide which maybe some of you aren't familiar with, that's a new player in the Australian landscape, and that's Volt Bank. Now, Volt recently became the first startup bank to be given a full banking license by APRA in Australia in 30 years, roughly 30 years, Steve. And I'm pleased to have Steve Weston, the CEO of Volt, with me today. And I'd like to invite Steve to come up on stage and have a little chat with us and talk about what Volt's doing. So please make Steve welcome.
Thank you.
You can have that seat, Steve. We'll swap sides. We usually go the other way. We'll go swap this. I'll do the Michael Parkinson thing.
Okay.
Now, Steve, we've known each other a little bit of time.
We have.
I first met you, though. You weren't running a digital bank. You were working for a really, really big bank, a really big old bank called Barclays in the UK.
I did.
I remember talking to you at the time about some of the challenges you saw in the banking industry and the experiences that you were seeing, the things that you were seeing in the European context. And some of those same experiences have now started to be felt in the local market. So before we get into Volt, could you share a little bit about what you saw back then in Europe and what you've seen play out in Australia?
Absolutely. So I spent 4 years at Barclays, which is 325 years old, 150,000 people. It was going through a near-death experience. It felt so deja vu-ish compared to what we're going through today in Australia. I got back to Australia beginning of 2016. I went and caught up with old bank colleagues and said, geez, the issues that you guys are dealing with here are the same issues that got us in trouble in the UK. Are you worried? No, we're different here. And I'm like, why? And the answers that they gave were very much the answers that we gave before we got our backsides smacked. So I kind of thought that we were heading down that track, but it wasn't just the issues being the same, it was the actions of all the stakeholders. So the bankers themselves, at first, there's nothing to see here. Then a few issues started to be discovered. Hey, look, we're sorry for those, we'll give money back, but it's not reflective of culture. We don't need more laws or regulations. A few more come out, and eventually, yep, we'll take the Royal Commission, and the rest is kind of history, and it'll still work its way through. Politicians acting the same. They don't mind giving the big banks a hard time. That's actually good for the vote count. They see what's going on. They give the regulators more money. Regulators get more teeth. They introduce new laws and new regulations, and the rest is history. And we have some way to go. In fact, part of the reason that we started Volt Bank was kind of, if we were in the same movie as the UK, and we are, then there would be at some stage the potential the government would want to bring in new banking competition. So we were ready for that time.
Right. So you've got a crystal ball. You can obviously see the future, Steve.
Ah, yes. No, a lot of
So what is it about the future that made you want to start a digital bank in this market?
It is interesting. After 30 years of banking in the big corporates, you kind of don't see yourself as an entrepreneur, although inwardly I always had that kind of motivation. I run into a former colleague of mine, the now co-founder of Volt Bank, Luke Bunbury, almost backed into each other at a car park at Woolworths. He said, I thought you were in England. I said, we better go for a pizza and a red wine, and we did. We reminisced a little bit, but then we got into the serious stuff about the future direction of banking. And we both had a lot of alignment in terms of what the future would hold. So people moving away from branches, doing more of their banking and living on smartphones. Australia has 4 of its 5 biggest companies on the stock exchange are banks. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It was an oligopoly. And if my prediction did play out that we're in the same banking movie, there was likely to be this push for competition. Technology had improved in leaps and bounds in the last few years. The advent of cloud meant that things could scale up in an inexpensive way. So the timing was right. But the barriers to entry to becoming a bank were too high. You needed too much capital. So we were going to work on some non-bank stuff. And then I was watching the Australian budget, and I know the date, 9th of May 2017. It was a very quiet day to be in the Western household because I was watching our Treasurer, now our Prime Minister, deliver the annual budget. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing because he did bring that night the last remaining key bits of UK banking regulation, and he dropped them in Australia. And that came in the form of the call for an open banking review. He introduced a bank levy for Macquarie and the majors that was straight out of the UK. Very tellingly, this will show, he introduced what we've called the BEAR, or the Bank Executive Accountability Regime. That will be more impactful on banking in Australia than will the Royal Commission, and happy to talk about that one day. But most importantly for us, a number of initiatives that would make it possible to start a digital bank. Those barriers were lowered slightly. So I didn't sleep that night mapping out pages and pages of plan. I phoned Luke about 6 o'clock in the morning. He said, is everything okay? I said, you wouldn't believe what happened last night. So we had a coffee that morning, and we agreed the very next day to undertake a 6-week feasibility study to see if it was viable to start a bank in Australia. We asked 9 others in the following week to join us in that piece of work. They all did. 4 o'clock on the 30th of June 2017, we made a decision to go ahead with the bank. All 9 are now on the team. So we're almost 2 years from that date, and a lot's happened, but that's kind of the history.
Yeah, so you started a digital bank, got a clean sheet of paper, no customers.
No customers.
So you obviously think you've got a good differentiated value proposition so you can start winning customers. How does that play out for Volt?
Yeah, in a number of ways. So our interest rates and fees, of course, will need to be competitive, and we'll leverage a very low-cost operating model to pass that on. But the experience that customers will feel from day one will be fundamentally different to what they are used to. So opening a bank account, take a photo with your smartphone of your passport or your driver's license, do a cool selfie, blink your eyes a couple of times, and then follow instructions, either open your mouth, smile, turn your head to a side. We'll OCR all your names in a detail and address details and the like. Your account can be opened really as quickly as you can smile and blink. Then allow you to transfer all of your existing bill payment details and the like from your existing bank to Volt. We'll do a comparison of your regular bills, gas, electricity, telco bills, insurances. If we can find you a better deal, present it back to you. You decide whether you take it up. We'll give you discounts at more than 20,000 retailers. You can apply that discount to a savings account for a particular purpose, pay it off a loan, give it to a charity, whatever you instruct us to do. But the fundamental difference is this. 600 years, retail banking largely has been done the same way. And that is, as a customer, when you needed a product from them, typically a deposit or loan, you would go to the branch and you would get that product, no problem. But then you were left to your own devices to make the best of that product. Banks of the future, very much led by Volt, will understand what customers are trying to achieve in their life, and then they'll bring the whole range of goodies to help them to get to that end destination in a much more effective way than they've been able to in the past. So we won't give you a savings account, John. We'll help you and teach you how to save, show you the savings discipline, and then we'll show you where you can get better deals on your financial services product, on non-financials. So discipline, so show me how to save, and then show me where I can save. Banks of the future will do more of that rather than here's a savings account, best of luck.
Brilliant. So Steve, an experience-led value proposition, customer experience-led. What's the future hold? Obviously the world's changing pretty quickly. How do you stay current with what's your vision for the future beyond that?
So we've got a slightly different approach to take to market. We've got our full license 22nd of January. As far as we can tell, we are the second startup non-credit union or building society to get a license in Australia in over 100 years. So the last one was someone called the Australian Bank, 1981. I tracked down a former CEO, used to be my boss many years ago. He come in and he gave this really inspirational speech to the team. They believed they were the first startup to get a banking license in 70 years. So if that maths holds true, it's not something that happens very often. Public launch of products will be in the next few months.
Right.
We're adopting an approach that other industries have used and neobanks, as we're called, have taken overseas, and that is, don't go and just take product and give it to customers and say, there you go. You actually find the most passionate of your future customers. You understand what it is that they want from you. You co-create those solutions. They do the testing for you. They get first dibs of the products, and they do the advocacy. So don't put your...
Sounds like Salesforce.
It's exactly. I got it from Salesforce. Don't put your ads on TV and tell people how good you are. Get your customers to tell people how good you are. Yes. So if we get this right, and I'm not overstating this, we believe that we won't change the way that banking is done just here in Australia, but we'll change the way that banking is done globally. So seeing the name up there with the Amazon and WeChat, it actually is our aspiration. All the empirical research shows what we are doing is what customers want but are not getting. We have a lot to do though.
Wonderful. Well, Steve, very ambitious goals and very exciting time for you guys. Wish you all the best of luck. Please join me in thanking Steve for his time today.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you,
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful story of a startup really trying to revolutionise the industry, seeing an opportunity. And one of the beautiful things that Steve's dealing with is something that doesn't look anything like the slide that I'm showing you on the screen. Most of us in the room don't have the luxury of a clean sheet of paper. I mean, Steve said to me during one of our conversations that the only thing that's a piece of technology that's not in the cloud at Volt is the photocopier. I asked him why he needed a photocopier. They don't have this legacy that we face, this legacy of siloed systems, of fragmented processes, that have grown up through the history of our institutions, either through acquisition or through starting businesses in niches which were necessary at the time, but then grew into separate silos. So the customer experience is fragmented across those silos, and it's just about impossible in most of our companies to get a complete picture of the customer for that customer to experience a unified experience with you as an organization. And this is the primary challenge that we talk to our customers about every day, and something we could spend the next hour discussing and debating the complexities of solving. We see this as our primary goal in the marketplace, is to help our customers solve this problem. And we began our strategy for financial services, started to really coalesce back in 2014, 2015, and we started to build out a product strategy that we named Financial Services Cloud, and started in the wealth management segment. Back then, 2016, we released first product for wealth management, extended that by working with some of our retail and insurance customers to the retail banking and premier banking or private banking, as well as insurance segments of the marketplace, extending the product footprint further in 2017. And then last year we launched our business and commercial banking solution, Financial Services Cloud, targeting that segment of the marketplace. So this is effectively the result of the listening we've done to you, to our customers over time. And we're not going to stop here. We're going to continue to work with you to find the opportunities, whether that be in corporate, in institutional banking, etc., and all the other elements, all of the full spectrum of financial services, to continue to broaden the product set so that we can deliver you a faster way to get a unified customer experience for your customers. So I want to dive into this in a little bit further, and we've got a segment coming up where we're going to go into a little more depth of Financial Services Cloud. We're going to hear about some of the newest innovation in Financial Services Cloud as a platform, and some of the new things we've brought to market. We're going to see a demo of unlocking the unified customer experience under the fictitious logo of Cumulus Bank. And then we're going to talk to another customer, this time one that didn't start with a clean sheet of paper, National Australia Bank, about how they're tackling this incredibly challenging prospect of unifying across an entire bank that's multifaceted as they are. So to begin with our talk on new innovation and demonstration, I'd like to invite Jennifer Brooks to the stage, my colleague, and Scott Barter on the keyboard. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Here you go. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, John. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Now, John mentioned about how we're unifying the experience for our customers internally, as well as delivering convenience for our customers externally. And I'm going to present to you some innovations that addresses problems in both of these areas. Now, some of you may have remembered, we're starting on the Unify the Experience side, that a little over a year and a half ago, we launched extended financial services into retail banking. And in addition to that, the intelligent referral management capabilities. And what we heard from our customers is that they wanted to see all of this great innovation in our business and commercial banks. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we also wanted to make sure that we were doing this in a compliant and regulatory way. So we came out with the commercial banking app. And all this has is the great, what we have is the commercial banking app that has all of this great experience in Financial Services Cloud for your banking and financial needs. We're also building action plans, repeatable templates that you can use. On the deliver the convenience side, we have Financial Services Cloud surveys. And within Financial Services Cloud, we're giving you 5 creator licenses that you can use to do surveys to help with your customers, help improve their CSAT scores. In addition to that, we have Einstein bots for Financial Services Cloud for retail banking. We're taking we're taking retail banking and creating some of the highest common service inquiries that we hear are for lost credit cards and also for international travel. So we're making it easy for you to deflect your service call center. And finally, we're really excited that this year we're launching Lightning Scheduler so that you can help reduce the human element and schedule for your customers. But wait, there's more. We have Einstein Next Best Action. We're going deeper into the platform, deeper than we did before. With Einstein Next Best Action, what you can do is help your employees for their bankers, for their insurance agents, for their customer service reps, help predict the next best action. We also have Einstein Analytics for Financial Services Cloud. With Einstein Analytics, we're creating new custom-made dashboards, starting off with your financial advisors, then retail banking, then commercial banking, insurance, and so on. And we talked about this spaghetti slide. John showed all of that complexity that you've seen before. We're so excited to bring MuleSoft into our arsenal and help straighten up that spaghetti slide, making sure that we're able to interpret all of that data. And how are we doing it? We can't do it alone. We have a great new ecosystem of partners that is helping leading fintechs and developers that are driving new innovation. And we're so excited to bring these new partners into our ecosystem. In lending, we have partners like Blend and Roostify. In wealth management, we have GemStep and eMoney Advisor. And in insurance, we have Velocity and Guidewire. Banking, we have Precision Lender, FinTech, and Finergo. So now I've talked to you a little bit about the innovations that we brought, but let's show it to you in a demo. So to help me drive the demo, I'm going to introduce Scott, who will be helping us bring the story of an advisor and his client to life. Our story begins with Alan Smith, a financial advisor who is looking for new ways to engage his clients and ensuring that he's doing so by growing relationships as a trusted advisor. Alan engages with Rachel Adams, a client of his for a few years, but someone who hasn't done business with over the past few years. We'll walk through Rachel's journey as she grows into Alan's one of his top tier clients, as Alan helps guide her on a path to financial success. So our demo begins with Alan Smith, a financial advisor who's looking to grow his entire book of business through a single pane of glass. The integrated platform starts by simply connecting Alan's calendar to Outlook so that he can see on top of his tasks and meetings without having to go back and forth between the platform. Proactive opportunities to connect with his clients are right here with quarterly reviews and even birthdays. Now, something that is super powerful is that Einstein Analytics is embedded right here, front and center, to provide Alan with relevant and timely insights about his customers. Alan can see that Einstein Analytics is letting him know that his held away asset consolidation is trending down due to low activity. So he needs some reasons to re-engage with his clients. Fortunately for Alan, Cumulus has put together a private school planning kit campaign for its advisor base. And Alan sees this as a great reason to start engaging with his clients. With a few clicks of advisor analytics, Alan sees an entire list of customers that this is perfect for. Now, Alan can take action on a one-to-one, or in this case, a one-to-many scale by adding the recipients to the campaign. Now, there's no need for Alan to go into a different system. He can do everything that he needs to do in Financial Services Cloud. He essentially has a marketer in his pocket with compliance-approved communications that he can customize or send as is. As Alan adds the recipients to the campaign, he uses part.engage to send out the marketing-created, compliance-approved content. Now, this is done on a mass scale, but with mail merge, he can send out the communications to the recipients so they receive personalized content. Now, let's move on to Rachel Adams, a client of Alan's who received the email that he sent from the campaign that he sent out. Rachel recently had a baby, and she finds this content timely and relevant, so she clicks on the link to schedule time to connect with Alan. Rachel is directed to her Cumulus community, where with Lightning Scheduler, she's able to set up a time that is convenient to meet with her. What a great experience this has been for Rachel. Now Rachel has set up the appointment. She wants to see what's going on with her accounts. She is directed to their homepage in the client portal powered by Cumulus communities. Now, Rachel is provided with the same information as Alan, so there's no need for her to call or email him with basic questions. And it's more than just accounts and balances, it's self-service. She's able to see things like her financial account summary, documents like previous year's tax statements, and even things like reaching out to her support team, her Cumulus support team, for wire transfers and address changes. She can see knowledge articles that are tailored to her experience. Just like we're providing Alan with everything that he needs, we're providing Rachel with a similar experience. Now, a day before the meeting, Rachel is sent a text message asking her to confirm. At this point, she can either cancel or reschedule. And these types of convenient touch points really sets Cumulus's service apart. As Rachel confirms the meeting, she can do things in her own time. It also helps Alan with same-day calendar reducing same-day cancellations and increasing his calendar optimization. Now, after Rachel confirms the meeting, Alan receives an alert. He decides he needs to prepare for the meeting, so he looks at Rachel's account view in Financial Services Cloud. Having an integrated platform allows Alan to see things like an aggregation of her personal balance sheet and net worth, investments accounts, bank balances, insurance policies, and assets and liabilities. And we're working with great partners like Quovo and Yodely to bring in this data for a seamless single pane of glass for all things Rachel. Now, Alan has reviewed Rachel's accounts, but she's more than just numbers. It would be awesome to know who is important to her in her life. Advisors are in the advice business, but they're also in the relationship business. So we're going to give Alan a tool to help him visualize this relationship map. Now, looking at this tool, it's more than just her immediate household and family members. There's also related households, perhaps an aging mother who she's a beneficiary for. There's also a trust that she's a trustee on, and other centers of influence as well, such as her accountant. We're providing Alan with everything that he needs to know about Rachel's accounts and the people that are important in her life. And not only this, but we're adding relationship intelligence to things so that we're providing Alan with everything that he needs, but we're also allowing Rachel in a digital age where clients expect that you know them and that they can trust you, especially when it comes to money management. We're also helping Alan plan for his planning meeting with Rachel in addition to her quarterly review. Now that we've added context to the relationship advice, the last piece is action. Based on Einstein analytics, we're able to show those held away asset consolidations. We're showing not only why, but how to improve that wallet share. We've given Alan everything that he needs to help prepare for the private school planning conversation with Rachel. So, now that Alan's prepared for the meeting, he wants to see what other clients and prospects are in the area of his meeting with Rachel. Using GeoPoint, he's able to see who's in the general vicinity. Alan sees that Frank is a prospect who lives within a few blocks in Surrey Hill. And using Einstein, he can see that he has an extremely high lead score. So Alan sets up some time to meet with Frank over a cup of coffee to start building that relationship. So now Alan has his meeting with Rachel, and he's able to wow her with all the knowledge that he has about her life goals, her accounts, and he's able to bring away those held away assets in-house to set up a brokerage in addition to a private school savings account. So, what did we learn today? We learned we were able to power Alan and his advisor team with everything that he needed to know about Rachel and her relationship ecosystem. We were able to scale Alan and his marketing team so they were able to send out distributed marketing to tailored segments. And don't forget about a digital experience. We were able to help Rachel based on her preferences. And how are we able to do this? With the world's #1 CRM, reimagined and tailored for the financial services industry. Thank you, and back to you, John.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Scott. Running a little bit behind, so I really want to get our next guest up. Carmel Couchy, please, if you could welcome Carmel to the stage. Carmel's a GM at NAB for Digital and Sales Transformation. Carmel, come and have a seat in Steve's chair, as I like to think of it. And I'll be Michael Parkinson again. Carmel, tell us a little bit about your role at NAB and the transformation that you're a central part of.
Sure, I'm part of a central transformation team, and NAB's going through a 3-year transformation journey. We're sort of halfway through that, and it's quite significant. It's covering really $4.5 billion of 3-year investment, really to transform our business and to get future ready. And it's got a few focus areas in terms of the transformation strategy. The first is that we have a huge strength in history and heritage in business and private banking in Australia. And a core part of our strategy is really wanting to take that to a global stage and deliver a customer value proposition for our customers that would be considered world's best. The second part of NAB's transformation strategy is really focused on simplifying a lot of the spaghetti that John showed before. So truly simplifying things for our people to deliver better and simpler and faster services for our customers.
Yeah, it's a different landscape, to Steve. So, tell us some of the differences between NAB and Volt. You know, if you just compare the two for a second so that we sort of understand the context of what you're trying to achieve.
Just the headlines, folks. NAB is 160 years old, and we're very, very proud of that. We have 900 locations. We have 30,000 people who work for NAB and who are the human face of our brand. And 160 years means that we have built out a whole lot of complexity over that time period across processes, technology, and where we are now is that we want to absolutely compete to deliver more customer-centric services, and that means investing in core enabling technology. So part of my role in the transformation is leading a wonderful group of people where we are bringing in one enterprise CRM system to really mean that we can deliver a simpler, faster, and more customer-centric experience for our customers.
One system across the whole bank?
Absolutely. So just a few fact points. At the moment, we have 19 different sales and service CRM systems that have been built up over time. Where we are going is one system that covers all of our customer-facing areas, meaning that all of our frontline-facing people will have a single view of customer. So that's the same system for our retail bankers, our business and private bankers, our corporate institutional bankers, right through to our wonderful agents at UBank, which is our challenger and disruptor brand, as well as our third party. So that's incredibly exciting at NAB. And we're midway through that. So we have delivered a wonderful MVP and built out a whole lot of those foundational building blocks. Right. But this year, we are going to scale that.
Right. And so this is Financial Services Cloud?
This is.
And what does it mean, though, for the banker on the ground? Like, how's their life going to change once this platform's in place?
So you can imagine, John, some of our bankers at the moment have to deal with multiple different systems where core information about their customers sit. So it'll mean for them going to one primary source of customer information. So that's fantastic. Also, it creates mobility. So you've seen a lot today around being able to use the mobile app. So for our bankers and relationship managers who are out on the road visiting clients, spending time with clients, they can be entering in core customer information on the go. In terms of having good insight about their portfolio, or for our leaders having really good information, it's real time and it's dynamic. So for some of them, they can say goodbye to a whole lot of manual reporting that they have to do today. So as well as having very confidential collaboration spaces in Chatter. So being able to collaborate and bring the best of NAB for the client.
Wow. Now we're short of time, but I really want to touch on another element of our relationship, which is you're a contributor to, that logo slide I put up earlier of all the companies that are contributing to our roadmap for product. NAB is one of those. Maybe share a little bit about how we're engaging on that front.
So we're really pleased that we are the first financial institution in Australia to be bringing in financial services cloud across the length and breadth of our organisation. Part of what we've seen when Salesforce has partnered with other FIs is that typically they'll start with retail or wealth. We are starting with the SME part of our business aligned to our strategy around World's Best Business Bank. And what has been awesome has been partnering with Salesforce on the future product pipeline. So we felt that there were some things missing from Financial Services Cloud, and being able to work hand in glove with the team to build out those gaps in the product has been fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. And we value it enormously because it just educates us so much on what you need. It's probably all we've got time for, even though we could probably spend another half hour chatting. Please join me in thanking Carmel for her time today and for giving us such insight. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thanks, Carmel. I promised I'd get you out mainly on time, but there are a few takeaways from today. It's a short amount of time to discuss such a massive opportunity and massive inflection point in our industry. You've heard a little bit about our new innovation that we're bringing into the market to try and help you, and seen some demonstrations. You've heard from someone who's building a bank from the ground up using Salesforce as a part of their technology platform, and we've also heard from a 160-year-old bank that's trying to reinvent its customer and banker experience on the very same platform. So there's two ends of a very interesting spectrum that you've heard about today. Please, let's keep the conversation going. The last presentation here, they gave away free books as you left. We have no free books. But if you scan your badge on the way out to let us know that you were here, you'll be sent a link to some wonderful online demos of Financial Services Cloud, and we're also time poor. You're never going to read the books anyway, so it's probably just for the better that you're only going to get a demo of FSC, and we all know how great they are. So please scan your badge on the way out, and please join us at the campground. There's wonderful demonstrations at the campground of everything you've seen today and more in much more depth. You better talk to an expert about Financial Services Cloud and other related products. And go to Trailhead and learn more about Financial Services Cloud and our strategy in financial services. I'm hanging around for a few minutes, so other speakers, please come up and ask us questions if you have any. Once again, thank you for being here, and have a wonderful Salesforce World Tour. Thank you very much.